all year round.
It's so mysterious.
This is who we are.
This is who we are.
WAVR.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar and 7 o'clock in Lagos. Good afternoon and many thanks to staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Mali constructs the first gold refinery to strengthen economic and combat smuggling.
The laying of the foundation stone for Mali's gold refinery with a capacity of 200 tons is the logical continuation of the recommendations made by the national refoundation agencies, during which the Malian people demanded that Mali's gold shine for Malians.
President Tinubu to visit Benue State after deadly attack leaves dozens dead, including security officers.
The reports came in and we're going to set up a 5-man team to produce a white paper and then we will make everything public to the entire populace.
Ghana offers evacuation of citizens from Iran amid escalating conflict, and Togo's bishops renew calls for dialogue and denounce rights violations following June 6 protests. Please stay tuned to details of these stories and more.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
We begin this bulletin in Mali, where transitional authorities have officially launched the construction of the country's first gold refinery, laying the foundation stone this morning in the capital, Bamako. With a project annual capacity of 200 tons of raw gold, the plant marks a major step in Mali's drive for economic sovereignty. The state of Mali will hold a majority stake, 62%, in this strategic project, developed in partnership with Russian company Wadr. The refinery aims to reduce raw gold exports, enhance traceability, curb tax losses from smuggling, and generate new employment opportunities. Here is an excerpt from General Assimi Goïta, President of Mali's transition.
La pose de la première pierre de l'usine d'affinage d'or du Mali d'une capacité de 200 tonnes.
The laying of the foundation stone for Mali's gold refinery with a capacity of 200 tons is the logical continuation of the recommendations made by the national refoundation agencies, during which the Malian people demanded that Mali's gold shine for Malians. In this context, several actions have been initiated, namely the audit of mining sector, the drafting and adoption of the mining code, as well as the law on local content. The establishment of Mali's gold refinery is a statement of our economic sovereignty, and it allows not only for control but especially for the traceability of gold production. And it is also to help maximize the profit from gold and its byproducts. Most importantly, the new gold refinery will be the sole entity refining gold from all the mining companies operating in Mali, and this will inevitably increase both direct and indirect job opportunities for Malian youth. I would like to remind you that since 1981 until today, Mali's gold has been exported for refining and sale in countries such as the United Arab Emirates, South Africa, and Switzerland. This deprives our country from substantial revenues that could support the development of its economy.
Cela prive notre pays de revenus substantiels pour le développement de son économie.
General Assimi Goïta, President of Mali's transition regime. Meanwhile, tensions are once again flaring in northern Mali, where clashes have erupted between the rebel group, the Azawad Liberation Front (FLA), and the Malian army, backed by Russian instructors from the Africa Corps. The FLA claims responsibility for a deadly ambush on a military convoy, and the downing of a Malian aircraft claims the army strongly denies. Abdullah Hassan has the details.
A military convoy of over 40 vehicles which departed from Gao came under heavy fire from Azawad Liberation Front FLA fighters between Anefis and Agwehok in the Kidal region. In a statement, the FLA claimed it had launched a full-scale offensive in northern Mali. The group says several dozen Malian soldiers and Africa Corps fighters were killed in the ambush. It also claims to have destroyed about 20 military vehicles, including an armored vehicle and several trucks, and seized fuel and weapons. The rebels acknowledged losing 3 of their own fighters in the clash. In response, the Malian army says it launched a vigorous counterattack with aerial support. According to the General Staff, 10 rebel fighters were neutralized and several of their vehicles destroyed. The army insists that the situation is now under control and that the convoy is continuing its advance toward Agwehok. Meanwhile, the FLA also claims it shot down a Malian military aircraft during recent fighting. But Malian authorities categorically deny this, stating that the crash was caused by poor weather conditions. The aircraft reportedly made an emergency landing in a river near the runway of Gao Airport. The army said both pilots were rescued unharmed and are receiving treatment at a military hospital in the region. An investigation is underway to determine the cause of the crash.
Bamako correspondent Ali Cham's report, voiced by Abdullahi Hassan. Let's head to Nigeria. The President Bola Tinubu is set to visit Benue State on Wednesday in a show of solidarity following the latest deadly attack in the state that claimed dozens of lives. The president said he has cleared his schedule to pay a condolence visit to the grieving people of the Wadr community in Goma local government area, where suspected herdsmen launched a night raid last Saturday, leaving scores dead, including security personnel. Correspondent Yachenu Sesitu springs us more on this report.
Benue, a major food-producing state in Nigeria's north-central region, has witnessed a wave of deadly attacks. On June 15, at least 59 people, including soldiers and civil defense officers, were killed in a night attack on Yelwata. In the months prior, over 100 residents were slaughtered in Ukum, Logo, and Gwer West local government areas. The recent bloodshed has triggered protests and global condemnation. On Sunday, youths took to the streets of the state capital, Makurdi, to protest the latest deadly attack. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, also arrived in Benue on Monday and ordered the immediate deployment of additional tactical units to boost security. Governor Hyacinth Alia, meanwhile, has rejected claims that the federal government has abandoned the state. According to him, federal support has played a key role in reducing the scale of attacks.
The reports came in and we even had to we're going to set up a 5-man team to produce a white paper and then we will make everything public to the entire populace.
The growing insecurity has sparked public outrage, protests and criticism from opposition figures Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. Adding a personal and emotional note, Benue-born musician Two-Face Idibia has condemned the killings, calling for urgent action.
Every time, we call on the governor, we call on the president, we call on... How about... Oh, man, this thing is not funny.
As security efforts are being intensified, all eyes are now on the president's visit, with many hoping it marks the beginning of concrete, lasting solutions to the crisis. For WADR, Yechinu Sasitu in Abuja.
Meanwhile, the small-scale women farmers of Nigeria, SWOVON, is urging swift government intervention to end bloodshed in Benue State. SWOVON's call comes on the backdrop of increased attack against farmers, including women, who are sometimes killed or subjected to dehumanizing treatments by the SLNs. Makurdi, referred to as the food basket of Nigeria, is home to the country's largest agricultural harvest, both for local consumption and export to neighboring countries. Women therefore constitute a major percentage of workforce on farmlands to earn income and support their families. Veronique Gume, state coordinator of SWOVON, tells WADR that women in 17 local government areas of the state have been denied access to farmlands and are living in deplorable conditions.
In our place, women farm as well as men. We make the ridges, we make the heaps, we plant groundnuts, we plant so many things. And if we are not allowed to go to the farms, what do we eat tomorrow? What do we give our children? Like you see, I have 5 children, all graduates. And it is from this my farm work that I send food to them. So if I'm stopped from farming, what shall we eat tomorrow? We cannot go to the market and start buying food because of the price there. And without our land, we cannot farm. And this is the season for farmers. You know, when this season comes, farmers are always active. We make sure we plant at the exact time so that we harvest at good time. And because of this, if the women go to the farm, at times they rape them, they kill them. Just of recent, in Balom, in Wewes, one of our women was killed. She had just 5 months old baby. She lay there dead. The baby didn't know that the mother is dead. He was just lying by her side, being comforted with the presence of the mother, not knowing that there was no life in that woman.
We recall that a couple of weeks ago, a delegation from the federal government was in Benue State.
Very well, they came.
You had the National Security Advisor, the police chief. They all came.
They came.
There was a consultative meeting that was held with stakeholders there.
With the AFAM, yes. One thing I want to tell you is, in fact, maybe they came as part to go and tell Fulanis to come more. Because few days after that meeting, we had series of attacks where the Fulanis came and killed people, over 30 or so. They have even vandalized their places. They have sent them packing. These people have come to stay in the places that is not theirs.
Veronica Gume is the state coordinator of small-scale women farmers of Nigeria.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
The Ghanaian government has begun the immediate evacuation of its nationals from Iran, citing the growing security threat posed by the intensifying conflict between Israel and Iran. In a statement released on Monday, June 16, Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced the closure of its embassy in Tehran and the evacuation of all citizens, including diplomats, students, and professionals via land routes. Imo Edet has more in this report.
Operations at Ghana's embassy in Tel Aviv have also been scaled back to essential services, and citizens there are advised to stay in close contact with consular officials. Ghana's move comes in response to the latest escalation in the Israel-Iran conflict. On Sunday, a targeted Israeli strike in Tehran reportedly killed 3 senior commanders of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, including Intelligence Chief General Mohammad Kazemi. The attack followed Israel's launch of Operation Rising Lion, which also hit nuclear and military facilities in Natanz and Isfahan, claiming the lives of several top Iranian figures, according to Iranian state media. Iran retaliated with Operation True Promise 3, launching a wave of ballistic missiles, drone attacks, and cyber strikes. Tehran emphasized that while it seeks to avoid a wider war, it reserves the right to respond further. In a separate statement, Ghana expressed deep concern over the escalating violence and urged both parties to respect international law and pursue diplomatic solutions. As global tension rise, oil prices surge past $95 per barrel amid fears of disruption in the Strait of Hormuz. The UN Security Council is expected to convene urgently this week.
Imo Edet filed a report. Now, the World Bank is sounding the alarm on stubborn global inflation, pointing to rising trade tensions and economic uncertainty as key drivers. In its latest forecast, the bank predicts inflation will remain high into 2025, averaging 2.9%, a sign that pressures aren't easing anytime soon. Global growth is also expected to slow, with nearly 70% of economies seeing their forecasts cut. The World Bank says more structural reforms and stronger global cooperation are urgently needed. Francis Boniface has more in this report.
The World Bank has issued a warning about the persistence of global inflation, citing rising trade barriers and economic uncertainty as key contributors to the problem. In its latest economic outlook, the bank projects an average global inflation rate of 2.9% for 2025, higher than previous estimates. The spike in inflation comes against the backdrop of a projected global economic slowdown, with growth expected to reach only 2.3% next year. According to the World Bank, nearly 70% of countries have had their growth forecasts downgraded. The main culprits escalating trade tensions, particularly the increase in custom duties between major economies and sustained political instability. The trade barriers have raised both production and consumption costs, fueling inflationary pressure worldwide. Additionally, tight labor markets have driven up wages, further pushing prices of goods and services. To address these challenges, the World Bank is urging governments to implement deeper structural reforms, enhance international trade cooperation, and provide greater support for vulnerable economies most at risk from the current economic headwinds.
Francis Boniface with that report. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Mali constructs first gold refinery to strengthen economic and combat smuggling. President Tinubu to visit Benue after deadly attack leaves dozens dead, including security officers. Ghana orders evacuation of its citizens from Iran amid escalating conflict. And Togo's bishops renew call for dialogue and denounce rights violations following June 6th protests. We do have the guest interview and sports news for more. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In other news, bishops in Togo have once again expressed concern over the country's socio-political situation. Following their ordinary session held last week in Lomé, the prelates strongly condemned violence, disinformation, and violations of fundamental human rights. Christopher Atechu has the details.
This latest reaction from the bishops comes after a review of the current socio-political context in Togo, particularly the protest held on June 6. Father Emile Segbedi is the Secretary General of the Episcopal Conference of Togo.
The bishops firmly condemned all forms of violence regardless of their source and denounce the culture of lies and disinformation that undermines the aspiration for harmonious coexistence. They call for calm as well as for the fundamental rights of all citizens.
In their message, the bishops issued a solemn call for dialogue and national unity. They also urged the faithful to intensify their prayers.
The bishops once again invite the faithful of the church in Togo and all people of goodwill to continue praying so that all sons and daughters of our beloved country may truly recognize one another as brothers and sisters, capable of love instead of hatred, and come together to generously work towards building the earthly city as a joinings towards the heavenly one, except from the prayer for peace in Togo.
Beyond political concerns, the bishops also addressed several other issues during their 139th session, including education, priestly formation, and university pastoral care.
Lomé correspondent Sylvie Wadrago's report presented by Christopher Atichu. The Gambia River Basin Development, OMVG, has presented its Integral Development Master Plan, IDMP, to investor community to harness the resources of river among member countries for social economic development of citizens. The master plan, heavily hinged on three fundamental orientations, targets 179 multi-sector projects across the Gambia, Senegal, Guinea and Guinea-Bissau in areas of energy, agricultural production, environment and ecosystems, transport and communication, basic services, as well as good governance. Speaking at the Investor Forum for financing the new master plan, the Commissioner of the OMVG, Demba Jallo, expressed the confidence of the political will by member countries, but called on investors to address funding structures in order to achieve desired transformative development.
This master plan has been very inclusive. We had a lot of consultation at the community level, at the authority level, at different levels of all the 4 member states. It's a very diverse master plan, and we developed this investment component of it. But again, out of the investment component, we have 179 projects that are identified. 26 of them are the priority project. Among these priority projects, some have already started rolling out because we've started studies for some of these projects, and some studies are ongoing, and we hope to mobilize the financial resources. That is the objective of this forum. And there are commitments. We hope the partners will be able to come and join us and fund this project. We have different kind of partners here today. We have the World Bank, all these traditional partners, African Development Bank, Islamic Development, and we also have private players who are here. So obviously we're very optimistic that this forum can generate something to kickstart these projects which are identified in the investment plan. If you look at our river basins, there are 3, but the biggest is the River Gambia. And the River Gambia is almost 75% of the surface of this 3 river basin. And the second river basin is Kayanga Jeba, and then the third one is the Koliba Korobal. These are smaller river basins, of course. And then the river flow within these communities. Like I said, there are a lot of economic activities going on in these river basins.
Demba Jallow is the Commissioner of the Gambia River Basin Development, OMVG. Now, the chairman of the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day Ahead stand, Moba Molu, is alleging police intimidation ahead of a planned nationwide protest on July 17. This rally is part of a broader movement calling for accountability and change in Liberia's leadership. Mr. Molu has been actively urging Liberians to participate in the protest, though enough is enough to voice their frustrations over the rising cost of living and economic hardship inflicted by President Joseph Okai's administration. Well, WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
The protest, expected to draw schools of participants, marks the first large-scale demonstration just a year and 6 months into the current government's tenure. In recent remarks, Chairman of the Solidarity and Trust for a New Day stand, Moba Molu, condemned what he described as police intimidation tactics aimed at discouraging demonstrators. He emphasized the resilience of the Liberian people, stating that citizens are stronger than any authority, and called for a united stand against greed and lawlessness.
We cannot be intimidated. You can't scare me. Nothing will stop July 17. They start wasting taxpayers' money on surveillance, tapping my phone, having people in cars tailing me around, deploying police force at Stan's headquarters, paying grenade men to attack me as I'm making my rounds to communities. These things will not work. If Moba Molu dies before the 17th of July, my coffin will go to that rally.
Moba Molu also urged citizens to join the movement and announced that 100,000 t-shirts will be printed to symbolize their solidarity with the cause. He insisted that government officials must be held accountable and answer to the people.
July 17th is your day, the day of the people. Liberians, prepare yourselves. The July Revolution will take part in every major city in Liberia. Liberians will rise up to say, enough is enough.
While the Liberian National Police, through Inspector General Greco Coleman, assured the public that their duty is to protect the state and uphold law and order, Molu remains confident that the protest will be peaceful. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
In our guest interview this evening, the small-scale women farmers of Nigeria, SWOVON, is urging swift government intervention to end the bloodshed in Benue State. SWOVON's call comes on the backdrop of increased attacks against farmers, including women, who are sometimes killed or subjected to dehumanizing treatment by the assailants. Makudi, referred to as the food basket of Nigeria, is home to the country's largest agricultural harvest, both for local consumption and export to neighboring countries. Women, therefore, constitute a major percentage of the workforce on farmlands to earn income and support their families. Veronica Gume is the state coordinator of SWOVON and speaks with WADR.
So how is SWOVON helping these women in the affected local government areas of Benue State through this period?
What SWOVON is doing so far now is just encouragement, because we cannot talk of any inputs or any relief materials that is being given to them. The only thing we keep telling ourselves free, so that this problem we have will one day be a thing of the past.
We recall that a couple of weeks ago, a delegation from the federal government was in Benue State.
Very well, they came.
You had the National Security Advisor, the police chief. They all came.
They came.
There was a consultative meeting that was held with stakeholders there.
With the AFAM. One thing I want to tell you is, in fact, maybe they came as part to go and tell Fulanis to come more. Because few days after that meeting, we had series of attacks where the Fulanis came and killed people, over 30 or so. They have even vandalized their places. They have sent them packing. These people have come to stay in the places that is not theirs. So that is what the women are going through now. Their husbands being killed. Let the government come out and help us. Our governor is trying, but let him try more. Let him try more.
Well, but Mommy, what do you fear will be the long-term effect of this crisis if it remains unresolved?
I fear because of our children. Because some of us, we might want to take our exit. But our new generation who are just coming in, if this thing continues like that, will these children grow to see the age we are in? Or will it be Nigeria as a whole? Me, I'm thinking that these Fulanis really want to take over Nigeria. It's not just an argument on we farmers telling them not to eat our crops or this. They seriously want to take over Nigeria. And by doing that, they want to eliminate every person. So if this thing continues, tomorrow you may not have anybody alive. They might even come to the headquarters where others to run to commerce. Like
Veronica Gomez is the state coordinator of small-scale women farmers of Nigeria. And in sports this evening, record breaker Depu netted a brace of goals as Angola retained their COSAFA Cup crown with a 3-0 victory over host South Africa in the 2025 final played at the Toyota Stadium in Mangor. Angola's back-to-back triumph have taken their total wins to the competition to 5, level with South Africa and behind Zambia 7 and Zimbabwe 6. Comoros pick up the bronze medal with a 1-0 victory over fellow islanders Madagascar in the third playoffs. Elsewhere, newly crowned European champions Paris Saint-Germain launched their bid for Club World Cup glory with a convincing 4-0 victory over Atletico Madrid on Sunday evening. In a sharing hit at the Posada Bowl east of Los Angeles, PSG proved too hot to handle for their Spanish opponents in an impressive opening Group B win. Goals from Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, Semi Mahulu and Lee Kangli sealed the 3 points for PSG, who delighted a crowd of 80,000 with their adventurous attacking play. The Fred Giants pick up where they had left off in their 5-0 UEFA Champions League final mauling of Inter Milan in a fortnight earlier, quickly settling into their smooth passing game to control the early exchange before taking the lead in the 19th minute to a fantastic victory against the Spanish side. And we have come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Sanjay for their technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms X and Twitter and Instagram, Lara on WADR News, and on Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. I am Sankula Jibril Janko. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and